I mean, the risk to the town was, the risk was to life, to people, the properties, the belongings, and the memories, the family, and everything. So, we'd ask police officers and staff and all the people involved to go and risk their lives, particularly at the start of the incident. And I guess it was scary. You go and aim on a Saturday night after working a full day, where the point of the incident's kind of fairly established, and you're thinking what's tomorrow going to bring, and you're just hoping you can do everything you can to avert it, which is obviously luckily what the outcome was. But it was scary to be involved, but that's what we step up to do.
I was down at the station doing some admin, and my dad actually phoned me, and he told me that there'd been something happening up at the dam, because he'd been out bird watching, and he said he thinks there's been a crack in the concrete facing. Well, at the time I didn't think it was anything, so I just rang control and told them about it. And then about half an hour later we had a call to say, can you shift the fire engine out the station because of business continuity. Obviously it's in the flood zone, so we had to move the truck out. And then we had the fire call to say, proceed to the incident. It was a very surreal feeling, because obviously it's where I live, it's where all the crew was from. But when it got made up to, I'm not sure how many pumps, it did start to sink in this was a serious incident, and we had to get on with what we needed to do to make it safe.
We got to the scene, started immediately to evacuate people from the immediate area, those that were in the park underneath the dam. It soon became clear in the next couple of hours that this was going to take a little bit of time to keep moving everybody on, getting the residents out of Whaley Bridge and expanding our evacuation zones. We called up further officers from across Derbyshire to come up to the high peak to help out. But what I will say from the outset, the community of Whaley Bridge pulled together with us. Everybody did as asked initially, and we got everybody out that we needed to in the first few hours.
Yeah, it was very scary. I think everybody was scary just because they didn't really know what was going on. There wasn't much information because everything happened so quickly, and everyone was just told to evacuate. It was quite bizarre, really. It was scary.
I said, look, we've got to get evacuated up to Chapel and Frith, school up there, which we did. We was out within 10 minutes. It was strange, really, but because I didn't know how serious it was. They said it could have gone any minute.
Firstly, I can barely believe that it's a year on, because although it feels a long time ago, it doesn't at the same time as well. So when I look back, I probably feel immense pride in terms of how Derbyshire and staff responded, because the force was tremendous, how the partnership responded, because I really think I feel Derbyshire partners at their best. And if I ever wanted a reminder of how important community was to the success of policing and partnership, Whaley Bridge definitely was that. And as I said, I will always be really grateful for the support they gave us, because without them we wouldn't have been able to do it the way that we did, and they made a tremendous difference to the whole incident. So I think I feel overwhelmingly a sense of pride in terms of all of those factors, and extremely grateful and thankful to the community.
We took an early decision to talk to the residents, to hold residents' meetings and to communicate with them and keep them involved throughout the incident at regular intervals. And I think with that they supported the service and all the other services and agencies that attended, making the incident a success. They evacuated, they were disrupted from the houses. They didn't complain about this, and that meant that all of us could focus on the task at hand, which was reducing the level of the dam as fast as possible in a controlled manner.
They wanted us to put some boards across.
Where the weir was?
Yeah, but because there was like a metal strut in the middle, which would hold them, that had already ripped out, so we couldn't do it.
That's where the
They put the bags in, didn't they, with the helicopter.
Getting there and seeing the amount of vehicles, the amount of staff, civil engineering staff, all the engineers who were on site, and it was just quite a surreal feeling. And at the point we pulled up, the helicopters flying over, got the Chinook flying ahead, so it was just kind of not something you probably expect to be involved in when you first join the police.
The sailing club was where we could get a break and get some food, and obviously the Chinook was just where the hole is, coming in, flying straight over us, dropping his bags in, and it was just very weird, but very impressive too. The skill of the pilots was unbelievable.
You kind of got used to it. 2 or 3 days of being involved in it, it kind of became the norm, but every person who came onto site, it was just a surreal, strange thing. And to get in the car under the shift and listen to everything on the radio being about Whaley Bridge, the dam, it was just yeah, it was a funny few days.
And I mean, it was strange seeing little old Whaley Bridge on Sky News and all over these international news channels, because no one had ever heard of it before, and yeah, it was very strange.
Of sand and gravel brought in to hold back 300 million gallons of water.
It's looking dodgy but stable. There's a major structural problem with the dam.
You got into a point where every day a kind of senior politician or senior person from the Environment Agency was arriving on site, so you're having to kind of watching the news and seeing yourself stood next to a senior MP or a cabinet minister. So that was quite a bizarre and an unusual thing to experience as well. We come up, I mean, you look at it now like it's a football club. It kind of really quiet, peaceful, but like when we came up here, it was all our command vehicles were spread out. So you got police, fire, the Environment Agency, and then obviously the construction staff all over there. So you got civil engineers. So the town was buzzing in terms of the amount of people, and you're just constantly in and out. This is our command point. So all our meetings are Jessup meetings, and all the partners were meeting here. So that was again, all the residents were cooking. So right where we stood here was where each evening residents would be making a paella kind of dish full of curry, chilli, anything. So we're just being served out here by everyone just volunteering. So that was crazy. And then we got just on the pitch on here, right in the middle, was where the Chinook would land in between doing the runs, and you'd have the liaison officers from the RAF who'd be sat and waiting to kind of look at what they were going to do next. But yeah, it was just bizarre, kind of being stood here where we've got kind of this buzzing feeling of all the staff running around with a Chinook flying over the top. But yeah, we lived here pretty much 4 or 5 days constantly, 12, 15 hours a day without batting an eyelid, and it just went like that every single day. But obviously you spent most of it up with us guys supporting us up on the site. Oh, what was that like being up there?
Well, I just wanted to, I obviously couldn't come to work, and I wanted to help. I wanted to do something to pay back, and it was my way of paying back. And it was great to see, all the hard work you guys did, and lots of other different agencies coming from all over the place. We really appreciated it.
So we'd already made loads and loads of cakes to sell to all our lovely customers, and then we just had to close and evacuate. So we had all these cakes left over that would have just gone to waste and would have had to throw away. So we thought the best thing to do is to try and get them to the guys by the dam, all the firefighters and the emergency services, and we took them down on wheelbarrows with my mum and dad on like a little secret ginnel that we knew about, and yeah, they really enjoyed it, so it was good.
Raz gave me a ring saying that there was a couple of coppers over at the pavilion needing to get let in to obviously set up base. So obviously at this point the rain was torrential, so me and Raz scooted around there in the car, opened up, just sort of hung around so they knew where everything was, and then within a matter of minutes there was another 4, 5, 6 cars coming up, and it just kept escalating until, like you say, you had various services over the first couple of days that had turned up.
There were only about 10 people there, so Raz said she'd make some dinner from all. By the time we got back, there was probably 30, 40, 50 of them there, so we ended up doing a lot more catering than what we expected to, really. And that went on for the best part of 2 or 3 weeks.
We wouldn't have got through some of those days without sticking a cup of tea in front of us or some food, and you put as much into that as we did, that's for sure.
My overwhelming feeling in all of that was just how supportive and brilliant they were. And yes, they had questions, of course they did, but actually they were so supportive and so grateful for the work that we'd done. And probably that will be my most overwhelming feeling around it, was the immense support we have from the community, and I can never begin to tell them the difference it made to all of the responders in terms of knowing that they understood what we were doing, and they knew that we had their interests at heart, and it made a huge difference, and they were absolutely brilliant throughout it.
It was right on the spot, mate, where when we stood out and we told the residents we were going home, and one of the people here was he'd been obviously out of the house for the whole week, and just as I found out that was it, we passed the message on the radio, and I went and told her, stuck my head round and said, got some news for you, can go home. And I walked out afterwards, and she just followed me out to here, and just grabbed hold of me and just said, "Can I just give you the biggest hug?" And obviously it was all quite emotional. That's why we all just stood like a couple of us, the supervisors on site, just looking at each other, thinking, "Flipping heck." Yeah, it's all kind of been worth it after 6-7 days of just being run ragged, and for those guys being out of the home. So it was quite emotional, mate.
It was relief. I think it was relief for everybody in the whole village, because they just felt like it was just a threat to life. No one knew what was going on. It was such a small community as well. Everyone knows everybody, and it was just, yeah, a huge sense of relief to be able to go back.
The community spirit after was just incredible. You know, people really watch out for each other now, because they realise how important the village life is and how we knew we could lost it.
Looking back on what happened gives an enormous feeling of pride at what the service achieved as a whole Team Derbyshire, and what the fire and rescue sector achieved working with all the other agencies, and especially working with the Canal and Rivers Trust and Keir Construction. This isn't an incident that could have been resolved by us alone or any other single agency. It had to be all about teamwork, working together to achieve an agreed outcome, which we managed successfully.
You know, everyone stepped up, and that includes the community. They're amazing, and it was just like I say, the way people pulled together for it. It was quite incredible.
And it was intense work, and I don't know, the pride of doing the job and getting the job completed to a successful outcome.
It was 5 days of just being absolutely, run ragged and working as hard as you can with everyone, which is what everyone did. The residents were amazing in supporting us, supporting each other, and the highlight was just being able to sit and say at the end of it, you can go home, and walking down into the town at the end of it and watching people, just a relief. And it was just the feeling of that, it was kind of like probably the proudest I've ever felt at any point in my career, just being able to stand there and people just being so grateful for what you've done. So it was the highlight really was probably the positive outcome, I guess, of the incident, and being able to get people home safely.